Hello and welcome to the monthly interview program that features outstanding members of the mineral community, including collectors, dealers, artists, photographers, and more. We aim to shine a light on the lesser-known mineral people that certainly deserve to be shown. This program is presented by the Young Mineral Collectors. I'm your host, Matthew Parshchikov from Cologne, Germany, and this is Under the Radar. Hello everyone. Today's guest is a geologist who is also a great artist. His work was featured in the special exhibition in the 2023 Munich show, and his painting style differs from the others, which is why it's very recognizable. Our guest is Christopher Smith-Duque. Hey Chris, how are you doing?
Hi, I'm fine, thank you. How are you?
Oh yes, I'm great. Thank you for tuning in, for um, making this possible. You're a geologist and also an artist. Let's first talk about your geology part and how you first came into mineral collecting and decided to study geology.
Okay. Well, how I came into geology, I suppose I had an interest in geology just from childhood, really. Um, my father, who had an amateur interest in it, he gave me he gave me books to read, sort of children's books about the earth and how it works. And of course, they included lots of pretty pictures of minerals and fossils and cartoons of things like tectonic plates. Um, and of course, I was fascinated by this. Um, so I then sort of took it up academically. So I did levels, and I went to university over in Leicester to get my first degree, and then I did a PhD in Southampton in geochemistry. Um, and from there, I postdoced for a while um, as a researcher. Um, I sailed on the ocean drilling program on a few expeditions as well, uh, which was absolutely fascinating and a fabulous experience to really be exploring. Um, um,
Wow.
for multiple reasons, I ended up away from sort of the academic side. So I really wanted to follow my true passion, which is art. I think. Um, But of course, having done all this sort of geology research, you never truly let it go. So so I always maintained an interest, um, and that
So,
and that kind of
yeah.
that sort of interest was rekindled in kind of in the form of mineral collecting and my involvement at Greenlaw's mine in Weardale, in County Durham.
Oh, okay. So did the mineral collecting, forming a non-collection start before the geology? So when you received the books from your father, did you also start going outside and
I had a
collecting
few
something?
rocks. Yes, I did. I went to beaches, quarries, cliff faces, things like that, with my father, um, finding rocks and fossils. And yes, as a kid, I had a little collection of rocks. And obviously nothing really special, but they were special at the time. Um, and then I picked up rocks as I went through my sort of geological career. Uh, Again, it wasn't really with the eye of a mineral collector. It was just things that were curious or mementos from field trips. So
Oh, okay. Do you have
things that
still,
fast off the ocean floor or
yeah, do you still
um,
have a part of some specimen that you got on the way to a geologist? Like,
yes, I have a few pieces from way back. Yes,
that's
there's some
cool.
that I have kept because they're of sentimental value, of course.
Yes,
Um,
of course.
um, but mineral collecting proper again was very only in the last 3 years really. Um, have I actually started to more seriously think about mineral collecting.
Yeah, well, how did you get back to the actual mineral collecting? What was the spark that said, okay, I want to collect minerals now for real, like properly?
It's a good question, actually. Something that had been on my mind, and I was sort of figuring out a way of how do you get into this, so there's the sort of the Russell Society in the UK, and there's a number of mineral clubs, but I really wanted to go in the field and collect something myself. I didn't want to have to just go to a show and buy a rock, I wanted to go somewhere, and I quickly realised, particularly in this country, England, access is nigh on impossible. You want to actually collect something half reasonable. Um, so I did some hunting around and online, looking for groups or people, and I came across Greenlaw's Mine on Facebook, um, and I contacted Greenlaw's Mine, and what followed was a lengthy phone call with the boss of Greenlaw's, and he invited me down to the mine.
Oh, nice.
So, and of course, I think it kind of started from there. So sort of joined the team there. I mean, Greenlaw's is an amateur mine; it's not a commercial mine. So we're all volunteers there. So I sort of joined that, found it really fun. I mean, who doesn't find going down mines fun when you're a mineral collector, right?
Exactly.
And it's one of the few places, in fact, I can't really name any other place in the UK where you can go into a mine and still see cavities full of specimens.
And what
Yeah.
minerals were there?
Fluorite.
Oh, nice.
Fluorite and galena, but mainly fluorite.
Yeah.
But because it's not a commercial mine and the focus is as much about sort of archaeology and science and preservation as much as it's about collecting, there's the team make a point of not emptying cavities out completely. It's not a commercial mine, so any visitor that comes can see crystals in situ, basically, and there's some cavities you can sort of climb into. You'll be surrounded by huge fluorite cubes, and it's quite an amazing experience.
Yeah, it's also very important that the experience of going down the mine is something very different. It's for a mineral collector, it really strengthens the will for mineral hunting.
Yes, I think a big part of mineral collecting is that, for me anyway, it's the personal attachment. It's more than the specimen itself. It's the word provenance is spoken of a lot in minerals, but you're having a personal connection to it, to the specimen. It's very important to me. So yes, going down into the mine, seeing these specimens, and then eventually learning how to collect myself down there. Because you can't just pick up a tool and hack away at things. It's a skill, and you need training to do it. And that whole process from start to finish, has helped me sort of generate a bond for this. And you sort of bond with the mine and you bond with the specimens, and that's kind of where it started, really. I think for me as a collector.
Wonderful, that's great. And how did the artist side of you started to bloom? So you said the the artist side was the real passion.
Yes.
So when did this start?
Well, art. I've always enjoyed art. Always from an early age, I drew art. So wherever I went, I would draw things. Basically, I carry a sketchbook. So that would be holidays away, sort of landscapes, or and actually sort of science fiction things. So I like things like Star Trek and Star Wars and stuff like that. I used to draw the spaceships from the films, you know.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
And I really enjoyed that sort of technical drawing, doing the cutouts and kind of imagining what's inside the ship. So I thought so I did that as well. And then mountains came sort of later after I finished my geology, sort of my time as a geologist. And I started wanting to draw and paint from my experiences as a climber, as a rock climber.
Right, right.
So sort of trying to capture what it's like to be in the mountains and what it feels to be in the hills.
Oh yes, definitely. Your art, your pictures are always very dramatic and take you into the place.
Yeah, it's like I mean, to my mind, it can be an otherworldly experience. So I don't know if that comes across in the art, but that's what I try and convey. A sense of adventure, a sense of going somewhere, experiencing something other than, sort of how to define it, otherworldliness, I think.
Yes, yes. And then how did you, or when did you shift to the mineral paintings? When you started collecting at the same time?
Shortly after, so when, so I guess we can. I mean, if you look at my first painting, which is the fluorite, um, so that the idea of mineral painting began with a fluorite specimen from Greenlaw, because it was very difficult to photograph, basically. Um,
Oh, and this is the one, the fluorite. It's from there.
it is from there,
Oh,
yes,
okay.
um, and I saw it as a bit of a challenge as much as anything else, um, because how it looks in a photo is very different to how it looks when you see it.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
And again, the colours change again when you have it under UV light and when you backlight it. And,
That's true.
uh, it's a very and then I was thinking about how can you capture this, this specimen and this specimen's aesthetic more faithfully. How do you get the essence of the character of the specimen? How do you bring it out? Um, so I thought, well, I do mountains. My mountains are fairly technical in the sense I stick to a fairly graphic style. So I thought I'll try this on the mineral. So I asked to essentially borrow a specimen from the mine, one of the sort of the mine collection, which are the top specimens that they found there, have been found at that mine, and I paint it. So that's how I ended up painting that one.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And of course, the sort of more abstract idea sort of developed from that, which I can go into later. But,
Yes. So let's let's tell me about how you make the painting. How you the style is very um you have an own style. So if you compare to the paintings that we've seen for in Munich, for example,
yeah,
there were a lot of watercolor and yeah, mostly watercolor. But you choose another medium. So you draw with acrylic. Now,
that's right.
why did you choose acrylic?
Why acrylic? Um, Partly, I guess it's what I'm used to. My my mountain art is acrylic as well, so I know how the paint handles. Um, so, but from I find it easy to control because I'm familiar with the substance, I suppose. I'm familiar with how it mixes and I know what I can get out of the paint. Partly that, but Acrylics, I found they lend themselves to a very precise style of work. I'm not quite sure why that is, and like it's something to do with their consistency and the way they dry, I suppose. But
Right.
they do lend themselves to quite a graphic style,
Okay.
and also they're permanent. So I'm pretty if you choose good quality paints, they will last. Good acrylic paint will last as long as an oil, so sort of hundreds of years.
All right. Yes. You've told me that you want your art to be something very special, something permanent that can go through generations.
Yes, yes. So
I think this is very
um,
important also about your art.
I
Very
was quite
key.
keen that it lasts. So and you can only really do that with oils and acrylics. I mean, there are other mediums. Yes, there's gouache and there's others besides, but I guess those are the main two mediums.
Yeah.
Um,
So tell me about the mountain that's behind you. How
oh
did
yeah,
you wait, first of all, what is it? Like, where is it, the mountain located?
oh gosh, that's a I did that as a commission. Um, or the commission was more for the right to use the image rather than the painting. So I own the painting, but it's of a place called. I'll try and bring it a bit closer. So yeah, so it's of a Scottish mountain called Bidian Nambian. Don't ask me to spell it. It's Gaelic. But the face I have drawn is called Church Door Buttress, and it's a popular. Well, I say popular. It's a popular mountain winter climbing venue.
Oh, okay.
Um,
So what's the field of view of this painting of the how big is the mountain then?
oh, so I mean, I have that isn't it isn't the summit of the mountain. That's a crag from one side. So the summit is higher up somewhere else, over on sort of that side of the
Yeah.
painting. Um, no, the view is how tall is the mountain? How tall is that buttress? I want to say 200 meters or so.
That's quite a lot, yeah.
Yes, and it's full of very serious winter test piece climbing. So
Yeah.
very difficult climbing. Um,
Did
very dramatic. As you climb up to you can probably, I don't know if you can see it, but there's like an archway in the middle of the buttress.
yeah.
People climb onto it, they can climb through it, through a tunnel that goes around the back, often called the crypt.
Oh,
Um,
that's cool. So have you climbed that mountain?
no, it's too hard for me.
Okay. And um tell me, why did you choose to draw this part of the mountain, not the summit itself? So what's so special? I presume it's the arch and this.
It's, well, you'll forgive me for saying, but this is slightly painting by committee. So it was commissioned specifically for a book cover
Oh, okay.
for the Scottish winter climbing guides. Or for that region, I'll show you the book. So there's the book. So it's published now.
Wonderful.
Um, so it was commissioned for this, and myself and the publications committee essentially, we collectively decided what my subject was going to be. So I came up with some ideas, and um, so I mean I sort of led the discussion, of course, because I'm the artist. It's got to work as a piece of art, not just as a book cover.
Yes.
Um, so we wanted to choose something that was iconic for winter climbers, something they'll all be familiar with, but but something that's not too obvious either. So the obvious thing to do for a Scottish climbing guide might be to paint Ben Nevis or for some scene like that.
Okay.
So we wanted something that would be familiar to winter climbers, but also not not cliche.
Yeah, makes sense. Yes.
Um,
So
so
tell me the process of the painting, because I see it's a quite large painting.
yeah, it's about like 76 by 60 centimeters. That one.
Yeah, and
That's like
it's fully
a,
colored, like with
sorry?
fully covered in paint. The
Yeah.
the whole thing. Yeah, exactly. How long did it take you to draw this?
It took about a month to paint this.
Wow. Yeah.
Um,
So tell me the process. How did you paint it? So do you do you sketch it out first and
yeah.
draw it
So
on that, or is it a scan and you color it out?
so it's a so I drew a sketch on the canvas. Um, but before I drew the sketch there, I have a notebook of different compositions I wanted to try first. Um, so I could so I needed to work out what the best composition was going to be. So even though it's of an actual place, it's a figurative painting. You still need to find what the best angle is, how you're going to convey the light, because it's a very 3D crag, and it's north facing. So the
Okay,
subject was very difficult. It doesn't get much natural light, so
correct.
you have to sort of apply that yourself. You have to use some artistic license to sort of generate how it feels.
So were you at the place and took a photo of this?
Yes, I've been there. I've also and took photos, but I've also used lots of stock photos as well because I want to see the crag in all different conditions. Um, and I'm not a professional photographer, so you know there'll probably be photos of this place much better than mine. So I
Makes
wanted to.
sense. Yeah.
So I've used a range of photos essentially and sketches before I get a ride at composition. I can
Oh,
see.
so from all this information, you make in your head a 3D model of this and
Yeah,
pick a
essentially.
point of view from where you see it. Okay,
Yeah,
wonderful. That's fascinating.
I mean to see that view, you'd have to be sort of hovering about 100 feet in the air, So, but
Oh, okay, okay.
I wanted a view that shows off the crag. Well, I think at its best. So you
Marvelous.
have to sort of you have to imagine that view. Um,
And then the painting process itself. Do
mhm.
you So you sketched out the mountain or
Yeah.
this composition, and
Mm.
then you go layer by layer, or how do you
Yeah.
paint it?
So I tend to work in blocks. So I'll work up multiple. Yes, I will go layer by layer, but in sections. Um, I can. I find it very difficult to do an entire layer at once, and then another entire. And then once I've completed my sort of blocks, then there'll be a final layer, if you like, where
Okay,
where I touch up, highlight, um, and then apply a varnish at the very end.
okay, great, great. Then let's look at their mineral paintings.
Sure. Yeah.
Do these mineral paintings do they differ from the mountains like a lot?
Well, the kind of the process I go through is not too dissimilar, actually. I you well in most cases it's a client that's given me photos of a painting to work from, um, or they've loaned me the specimen paint, and then so I will take lots of photos. If I've got the specimen in front of me, I'll take the photos myself.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I use little. I want to see what they look like under different sort of light conditions. So I just made these little things up. You see, like
Oh,
little lights, and they've all got different color temperatures.
that's great.
So I have a selection of these. So I'll just move them about and try and just sort of just see the specimens in different lights.
Okay. So let's return to the fluoride again.
Yeah.
So how did you tell me the process of the fluoride? Because it's your first painting of a
Yeah.
mineral, and
Yes.
and how did you why no yeah how what was the thought process that you went through when painting it, when choosing the angle, when thinking, okay, this is my first mineral painting. How do I start? How do I do it?
Okay. Well, first thing it was like I wanted to represent, essentially represent all the colours that you could see in that particular specimen. Um, so the colours you see on the painting it's almost a blend of backlit colours and colours that you'd see if they were fluorescing. Um, as I was trying to convey the whole, the character, if you like.
Oh, so the color also it's fluor is under UV light, or is it a day
Um,
or does it have natural
Parts of it
fluorescence?
are. It, it's a, it's a I guess I could say it's an artistic representation of the specimen. Um,
Okay,
um,
so
um,
what the real color is green, I assume, from and the purple accents are the UV light, or I've seen it in Munich, but I can't really remember.
it's a com it's if under with no UV in an indoor light. In for example in the Munich show, all you'll see is purple, really.
Oh, okay. So okay, okay. And then the greenish
But
and bluish accents,
it will
that's the UV.
yes.
Oh, okay.
And under backlight you get the green and blue. Um,
So it's everything. It's backlight and UV and
yes, it's a representation of that.
that's fascinating. That's wonderful.
Um, and the specimen really shows itself when it's backlit because you see the colours from phantom growth within the specimen as well when you put a backlight through it. It's a very complicated specimen. There's multiple stages of crystal dissolution and healing, because it's one of these floating specimens that dropped into the cavity.
Ah, okay. So you started strong. Yeah, you picked a difficult specimen.
Well, it was a challenge. Uh,
But you
oh,
obviously mastered it. Wonderful.
thank you.
I'd like to talk about the calcite because the calcite is my personal favorite
Of course,
of
yeah.
your paint. I think it's even in the Munich show book it has to be. This book is available at the Munich show website. It's from last year's show from the 2023, and here you can see the calcite. It's also I'll pop it out on the screen, and other paintings and also an info text about you. So yeah, this is very in my opinion a must-have a book because the Christoph of the Munich show really did a great exhibition last year. It's a really meaningful milestone, I think. Yeah. So once again, I'll show it
Thank you.
to the camera. So we talked in Munich already last year, but once again, what were the challenges of the calcite?
Right. Well, the calcites. I think so far it's been the most challenging of the specimens, um, because it's water clear. So how do you paint something that's clear? uh,
True.
um, and I've seen that, for example, other mineral artists, sort of their versions of calcite. The area is famous. It's a big rig calcite from Cumberland. Um, so I looked at some Equit's,
Hmm.
Engelbert Equit's work, and he's painted one or two of these Egremont calcites before, um, and he's really gone down the whole water clear route. Um, so you don't really, I don't know, they're beautiful paintings. You know, I have to say, they're incredibly skilled, super detailed, but you really don't get the feel of the specimen, in the in the same way. So it led me to think that, well, if I'm going to convey this calcite properly in a painting, I really need to think about the internal structure of the crystal, how light refracts and reflects through that, and I've got to paint that in. Um, so involved me sort of, again, taking lots of photos. I must have took over 200 photos of that specimen,
Wow.
um, at different angles, because I wanted to
So,
personally work out what vantage point was I going to work from. Um, it was quite striking to me that the specimen looked a bit like a claw. Um, the
oh,
calcite
yeah.
had like fingers front and back. Um, so I ended up choosing a pose that kind of made it look a bit like fingers. Um, but also what what the environment I was in had an effect as well. So with the calcite, if I say I put it in my kitchen and the kitchen's full of different colours, that's going to bounce off and reflect in the calcite and
Right.
therefore be the photo. I didn't necessarily want that. So I went for a simple black background, one of these sort of matte black photo backgrounds, um, and just shone different light sources at it, um, until I got what I felt looked as close as possible to the specimens, how you might represent the specimen, as
Yeah.
close to reality as you can get it, really.
Well, you did a
Um,
magnificent job. Every striation, the clarity is perfect, well, visible. With also the black background, it makes sense that it's black inside in the crystals. So it's just a fantastic painting. And if anyone's interested, they can purchase a print of a specimen.
yes,
Yeah. So would you tell us about the prints that are available?
of course. So yes, I have a website. If you the people who are interested, if they just Google my name, it's like the first or second result
It's
in
also in the
Google.
description of the video. Yes.
Yes, thanks. So yes, prints are available. I have, for most of my artworks, not all of them, but for most of them, I have a limited run of 50 signed, so-called gigot prints, which are
Mm-hmm.
accurate color reproduction prints, made with pigment inks, which are again very permanent, will last a very very long time, and they don't fade in light. Um, um, so I use a professional printmaker for that. I don't use my own printers.
Yes, yes, of course.
So they get scanned, they get color matched, because I give the original painting to the printmaker, and he'll check, he'll cross-reference and check it
So it's
before
absolutely super
sticking
high
the print.
quality and
Yes,
everything's perfect, just like a real painting, but it's a print.
that's right. Yes, so he uses a really good he uses the best paper, the best inks, the best printers. So, and then what I end up with is, for example, something like this.
And they're available that's I love the calcite. And they're available in multiple sizes too.
Yes, so I've got these that size, and then smaller size. It's not the calcite, but it's just an example. It's one of the gold painting. So these are these are 8 by 12, and the others are 12 by 16 inch.
Yeah.
So the bigger ones are the same size as the original.
Oh, okay, great.
Smaller ones are roughly half the size. Yeah, and then I do a run of only 2 of these. I do what are called facsimile prints. Sorry, you need some of so facsimile means they're as close to being the original item as you can be without actually being the original.
Oh,
So
okay.
you cannot tell the difference between that and the original. Here's a painting of a Hummel First Silver. The original now belongs to Wally Wendell of Wendell Minerals, but this is the print.
What? Wow. It looks fantastic.
Thank you. So I sign them in paint by hand, and I touch them up with paint. So they're all
Oh, that's super cool.
and I varnish them as well. So, and in the varnish you get the paint strokes. So if you held it at a sharp, at an obtuse angle, you'd see strokes.
Yes, this is what I was referring to, which got my wow instantly, because it's a print, but it has the markings, the lines. It's fantastic.
It has all the markings and the lines of an original.
Oh, that's fabulous. Will these be available?
They are available. I have them in Tucson. No, they come with a certificate at the back as well. So for people who like certificates.
Oh, this is fantastic.
Thanks. So they're a lot of work, so I only do 2 at a time. I only do 2 of those, no more.
Great, yeah. Oh, these are magnificent. So if anyone wants a fantastic painting or a print of a painting, they can see they can look up your website, and if they want to commission you, they can also write you.
Yes, they can just contact me, and I will work from photos, and of course, come and see me at a mineral show. I mean, I will be at San Marie, I will be at Munich, I will be in Tucson. I might be going to the Far East as well. I might be going to the Nanjing show.
Oh wow! Okay,
that's more of a exploratory thing rather than I don't have a stand there.
Yeah, that's cool, wonderful. So, thank you very much for the processing, for the explaining of the process. Do you have any upcoming projects that you want to tell me about? Tell us.
Right. So, upcoming projects. So I have a few commissions. The one that's probably the one I can talk about is the Natural History Museum in London. I have a commission with them to paint a real classic British specimen. It's called the Box, and it's a siderite pseudomorph of fluorite. The fluorite is long dissolved, and there's a little quartz cluster inside. It's probably the United Kingdom's most famous specimen.
Oh yeah, I've seen it in person. It's absolutely fantastic. It's mind-blowing.
It is an absolutely mind-blowing piece. It's almost magical in quality. So I'll be working on that specimen. So that will happen later in the year when for maintenance reasons, I think that's when they'll open the cabinet for me, and I can take photos,
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah.
and they may even let me hold it. Who knows? But
We all hope that this that you will. So
mhm.
you also you have a small collection of minerals.
Yes,
What do you collect?
mainly British. Um, Unfortunately, a lot of worldwide classics are just kind of out of reach, really. If you want, you started collecting, say, aquamarines or tourmalines, or then the price is just too high. Um,
Well, yeah, yeah.
but, um, but yeah, I mean, so at the moment I stick to British stuff. Um, so fluorites from British mines, some Cornish material I have. I mean, my collection's not very big, and I've only started recently. So, um,
Do you stick
I
to a
mean, I have
size?
sorry,
Do you stick to some sizes like miniatures or cabinets or thumbnails
uh,
maybe?
no, not really. They range from thumbnail to. I mean, I've got a couple of what they're called museum-sized pieces, which is a bit of a ridiculous term because museums have everything from small to large.
Yeah,
But
and museums often even want smaller specimens because large specimens they take much space, you
yeah,
know.
yeah, most collectors do not want these
No.
large specimens, even if they're perfect. Um, it's only really the sort of the very wealthy big collectors who have private museums who will take those.
And
Or,
do you,
or
yeah, yeah, exactly. Have you painted something from your collection?
yes, so I painted the gold specimen.
The gold, yes.
It was at a really classic British locality. Um, and I was fortunate enough to have to acquire the specimen at Tucson last year.
Oh,
Um,
great. Yeah. And also I'm noticing that I think if I get it correctly, um, it gets blurrier to the background. So like it's if you took a photo of the specimen, it's in focus at the front and it's not like fully stacked, if you know what I mean.
mhm.
So
Yes, I know what
it's
you mean.
yeah, it's very like as if you took a photo but pr printed it, painted it.
Yeah, it, I mean, I do that mainly to convey a sense of 3D. Um, oh, of
Yeah,
course, their painting's a 2D image, but
of course.
to have a bit of soft focus, if you like, on the background, to slightly blur it, gives the impression to the viewer that it's a three-dimensional object.
Yeah,
Um,
makes sense.
I mean, my goal is I would like to think I would like people to imagine that they could reach into the painting and take the specimen out, to get as close as possible to physically being there with the piece.
Yeah, and also it's why do you choose the black background? It makes it very dramatic and it's very great. I love it.
And
So is it just because of that and or it wasn't is it just because you haven't had any needed a white background or an other colored background for specimen
I
because of the
think
contrast, for example?
I suppose the technical answer is by choosing a black background. I think it puts the focus entirely on the subject, the specimen. The specimens really they stand out against black. Um,
Yeah.
there's another sort of more philosophical point about a black background. Um, these all mineral specimens they come from a dark place, if you like. I'm not saying dark in terms of a bad place.
Yeah.
I mean they're all formed in utter darkness, and yet they're objects of real beauty, color, and light. Um, and I want to make the point about where they come from, um, in the black, essentially.
Oh, that's smart.
They're coming out of the dark. Um, um, but there's a kind of the other aspect is, of course, about our interaction with them. Yes, these are objects of nature, but we have a big hand in how they ultimately appear to us. We don't necessarily we don't add to them. Well, unless you're faking it, you don't really add to it. But you are kind of almost all specimens they've all been cleaned to some extent. Most have been trimmed, and that trimming is a very aesthetic thing. It's a very subjective process. It's not nature that's doing that; it's humans.
Yeah.
So our specimens really are a collaboration between man and nature. That's partly the point. Are we? And almost even, and in some cases, even by taking them out of the ground, out of the dark, we are altering them. There are some specimens that are, as soon as they're exposed to sunlight, they will lose their color. Some fluorite, for example, will just lose their color because the active element has just spends all its I don't know what is it, nucleotides, or and it no longer produces the color; it dulls. Some are more stable than others, of course. Some never lose that fluorescence, but many do. And there are other specimens like this that will degrade if you expose them to light. Others that if you expose them to even air, oxygen in the atmosphere will cause marcasite to rust. So there's an element of Schrödinger's cat to it. Simply by observing it, you would change it. And I always say that's true of all specimens.
That's a wonderful thought.
So the black is in homage to where they come from.
Yeah, that's very clever. I like that. As a closing question, would you like to tell anything from your years of experience in many fields to our young members, to the Young Mineral Collectors organization?
I think as a collector, it's helpful to have a focus. It's very easy to become absolutely bewildered by the variety and choice and out there. And as you collect, you'll start to develop a focus for something. Talk to as many people as you can. Dealers, other collectors, clubs. Join a club. That's an absolute must. And I guess if you're part of the Young Mineral Collectors, you already are a member of a club, so that's a good start. And yes, absorb information, I suppose. And as an artist, I mean, just give it a try, I suppose. Just take a rock or a mineral specimen or a fossil even and paint it or draw it. I don't know what else to say, really.
That's wonderfully said. Yes, yeah. As an artist, that's great. Take your interpretation, because as an artist you interpret the mineral specimen. You don't only represent it. Like for example, I do. I photograph it. I represent. It's just a representation of the mineral as it is. But you also have this artistic freedom and license of adding something that's the soul, everything into it, and becomes a masterpiece.
Thanks.
So
it's about the character. Yes, the character of the specimen. If it was just purely a scientific endeavor, I think you'd end up with something really quite different. If you look at some of the original painters, like, well, I say painters, but Philip Rashley or James Sowerby are the two sort of British examples I would give. Obviously, there are samples from other parts of the world of early mineral art, if you like. They're wonderful drawings, sort of coloured lithographs, but they are scientific. The purpose there was to record, not necessarily to convey anything else. So it's interesting, you compare that, so do that comparison of art from the past and art today. And obviously the Munich show, the object show was outstanding for this reason. You could see both. You could see what people are doing now. There's much more expression in their works compared to the past. So now we have a whole variety of different arts, different styles coming in, which I think is really great.
Wonderful. Yes. Well said. Thank you very much for this interview. Thank you for giving us an insight in your painting process, in your head, and how you think about
And of course,
minerals. It's wonderful always to see you and to speak to you.
thank you. Bye bye.
Gorgeous. Thank you for watching this episode of Under the Radar. You can check out today's guest through the links in the description below. Tune in next month for another episode and don't forget to like and subscribe so you won't miss any new uploads. Take care and we'll see you next time.